I've been alive for over 300 years. That sounds crazy, I know. I've watched planets die, stars burn, and species vanish into nothing. But nothing prepared me for humans. When they first arrived in this part of the galaxy, everyone laughed. Weak, fragile, dangerous only to themselves. Every alien here thought the same. I was assigned to watch them. A boring job, I thought. Just forms, greetings, and watching a few soft-skinned bipeds stumble in zero gravity. Standard duty for a low-ranking officer with no reputation. Then I saw Marcus Webb, one human, walking into the Grand Assembly Hall, and suddenly everything changed. He had a calm presence that made even the oldest diplomats uneasy that a small incident happened. Another species underestimated him. Chaos erupted. But Marcus didn't panic. He acted. Calm, precise, terrifyingly effective. I realized at that moment, humans weren't weak. Far from it. That was just the beginning. A single human, standing against impossible odds, showed me something no alien could understand. They didn't just survive. They thrived in ways that should have been impossible. By the time Marcus finally woke, the medical bay was quiet. Too quiet. Felix scanned him, broken bones repaired. Punctured lung, fully functional. Concussion, stable. Even as adrenaline levels were normalizing, Marcus opened one eye, smiled, and asked, "Did everyone make it out okay?" Felix exhaled, exhausted. "Yes, thanks to you. You saved 7 lives today." Marcus sat up, wincing slightly. "Good. That was my main concern. I can handle myself." Felix shook his head. Humans didn't calculate risk. They didn't pause to consider their own survival. They acted, and the galaxy had no frame of reference for their biology. Over the next hours, Marcus ate like a creature half his size would never need to, joked about his injuries, and then fell asleep upright in the pod. He snored gently, body already repairing itself further. Felix and Plinka monitored his vitals in stunned silence. Redundant systems, insane healing, adrenaline tolerance, rapid cell regeneration. Humans weren't just tough, they were evolution's answer to impossible odds. Then the alarm sounded again. Another emergency. Another impossible situation. Marcus, awake now, rolled out of the pod and jogged past Felix without hesitation. The alien crew watched wide-eyed. Humans didn't just survive. They acted. They solved problems. They saved lives. They ignored pain, defied biology, and pushed through danger like it didn't exist. Felix realized something that made his tendrils quiver. Humans were terrifying, terrifyingly unpredictable. They thrived where others failed. They were the galaxy's hidden apex predator, built for endurance, heroism, and chaos. Commander Zeeth arrived later, massive and scaled, eyes narrowing at Marcus' empty pod. "How is he alive?" Felix replied quietly, "Because humans don't know how to stay down." And that was it. Humans broke, healed, and came back stronger. Every new disaster was a challenge they didn't hesitate to face. They were impossible, and the galaxy needed them that way. Marcus Webb, asleep and peaceful, would wake up ready to act again, ready to save lives, ready to test the limits of biology and heroism. Because humans were built different. They were impossible, and somehow, they made the universe a little more survivable. Back in the medical bay, Marcus was finally under observation. Felix ran scans, checking every system. Broken bones? Healing. Punturedlung? Repairing faster than expected. Concussion? Stabilizing. Every reading screamed the impossible. Plinka hovered nervously. "Doctor, he should be dead. This isn't normal." Felix's tendrils twitched. "I know. Every time I treat a human, I lose another decade of my life just trying to understand them." Marcus, lying upright in the medical pod, opened one eye and grinned. "Did everyone make it out okay?" "Thanks to you, yes," Felix said quietly. "You saved 7 lives today." Marcus shrugged. Didn't feel like a choice. They needed help. Felix exhaled slowly. Humans didn't calculate risk. They didn't pause to wonder if they would survive. They just acted, and the galaxy had no frame of reference for their biology. Over the next few hours, Marcus ate enough food to feed a Quilarian for a week, made jokes about his injuries, and then fell asleep. upright, snoring gently. Felix reviewed his files again. Redundant systems, insane healing, adrenaline tolerance, rapid cell regeneration, all of it. Humans were a biological anomaly. They were the apex predator of their own death world. And somehow, they carried that survival instinct into space. And then the next problem appeared. Marcus' morning routine didn't include resting. By the time Felix checked on him again, he was already performing one-arm push-ups. "Stop. You're not healed." Felix shouted. "Relax, Doc," Marcus said, still grinning. "Feeling fine. Lung works. Arms stabilizing. Brain mostly okay. Gotta stay in shape." Felix felt a mix of horror and admiration. Humans were fearless, reckless, and biologically insane. Then the station alarm blared again. Red lights flooded the corridors. Felix grabbed his kit. Marcus, without hesitation, jogged past him. Another emergency. Another impossible situation. And, as always, Marcus was the first to act. The aliens watching him realized something terrifying. Humans weren't just survivors. They were catalysts. Agents of chaos and heroism. They ignored danger, brushed off injuries, and kept going. Always, Felix sat down, exhausted, watching Marcus disappear into the chaos. How do you prepare for a species that doesn't understand limits? He thought. A few hours later, the medical bay was quiet, too quiet. Marcus should have been resting. He had a broken arm, a repaired lung, a concussion that could still kill him, and blood loss that would have ended most species. Yet there he was, doing push-ups, one-armed, with perfect form. Felix's tendrils vibrated in panic. "Stop. You're supposed to be resting." "I'm resting," Marcus said, grinning. "Just doing 50 instead of my usual 200. Still counts, right?" Felix wanted to scream. Every alien in the bay would have collapsed from exhaustion and injuries this severe. Months. They called it exercise. Plinka, quivering, ran metabolic checks. The results made her gelatinous form wobble uncontrollably. Marcus' body was processing the stress, repairing cells, and pumping adrenaline like his physiology was designed to ignore reality. Felix muttered, "You're insane." "Pretty much," Marcus said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "But it works." The station alarm shrieked. Red lights bathed the corridors. Cargo Bay 7. Structural collapse. Multiple casualties. Felix grabbed his kit. Marcus, uninjured, arms swinging, jogged right past him toward the chaos. When they arrived, the scene was a nightmare. Twisted metal, collapsed support beams, injured aliens trapped under debris. Security teams were rushing. But the real shock came in the middle of it all. Marcus, that he was holding up a massive section of the ceiling with his good arm. Bloodied, bruised, broken arm hanging uselessly. Muscles trembling, veins popping. And yet, he didn't falter. 2 Quarian engineers trapped under the debris were safe because of him. Felix's scanner painted a horrifying picture. Reopened fractures, stressed lungs, worsening concussion, blood pressure dropping. This should have been fatal. Again, Marcus laughed. "Little heavy. Might need backup." The security officers rushed in with emergency supports. It took 90 seconds to stabilize the beam. 90 seconds during which Marcus held 500 kilograms of metal with his own strength. When the struts locked, he stumbled back, helped the engineers out, and collapsed. Completely exhausted, Felix dropped to his knees, scanning his impossible patient. Marcus' body was already engaging emergency repair protocols. Cellular regeneration, cardiovascular support, neural stabilization, all kicking in. "Will he survive?" one of the Quarians asked, trembling. Felix stared. "Yes, because humans refused to stay down." And that was it. Humans didn't calculate risk. They didn't measure survival odds. They acted. They saved lives, even when it meant certain death for themselves. Marcus Webb had just done the impossible twice in 2 days. And he slept afterward, peaceful, almost casual, as if holding up collapsing structures and surviving near-death injuries were everyday chores. Felix knew one thing. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The medical bay of the Stellaris outpost smelled like antiseptic and fear. Dr. Velix, a Quilarian with 12 sensory tendrils, stared at the incoming report with 3 of his 4 eyes. The fourth kept checking the emergency sedatives. Please tell me that's a mistake, he muttered, whistling clicks translating roughly to standard galactic. Nurse Plinka, a gelatinous alien who normally panicked at the sight of anything mildly dangerous, quivered. I wish I could, doctor, but the scanners don't lie. Human male, severe injuries, and he's still conscious. Velix's tendrils snapped upright. He what? He should be dead. Broken ribs, punctured lung, compound fracture, concussion. This isn't survivable. Before Plinka could answer, the doors hissed open. 2 Calvarian security officers rushed in, carrying Marcus Webb between them. His left arm hung at an unnatural angle. Blood soaked through his torn uniform. His face was bruised. And yet, he was grinning. Hey, Doc, Marcus said, voice rough but cheerful. Sorry about the mess. Razor Beast had personal space issues. Velix felt every tendril in his body go limp. This is impossible. Marcus steadied himself and sat on the exam table. No fanting, no panique. The Calvarians looked at each other, sharing silent horror. Velix activated the diagnostic scanner. The readouts made him wish he'd chosen a safer job, like defusing antimatter bombs that Marcus' body should have failed. Major blood loss, torn lungs, severe concussion, broken bones, and yet his heart beat steadily. Cellular repair had already started. Blood clotted on its own. Adrenaline levels were off the charts. Pain suppression chemicals were flooding his system. His body was literally repairing itself in real time. This is impossible, Velix whispered. Marcus tilted his head. Your species is impossible? Yes. You should be dead. Yeah, I've been told humans are kind of hard to kill, Marcus said casually, like discussing the weather. Plinka prepared the medical equipment, quivering. Doctor, do we start with the lung or the fracture? Both, and run a full metabolic scan. I need to know what keeps this creature alive, Velix said, struggling to keep his professional composure. Marcus, already tired of being fussed over, waved a hand. War crime's a bit harsh. We call it evolution, and maybe a lot of milk as a kid. Velix ignored that. He positioned the tissue regenerator over Marcus' chest. The torn lung slowly knitted itself back together. The broken arm stabilized. The scanner confirmed what Velix already suspected. Humans were biology's practical joke. Redundant systems, insane healing factor, sheer stubbornness overriding common sense that a security officer spoke up. During the fight, he threw a 300 kilograms razor beast across the room with his unbroken arm. Velix froze. He just threw it while injured. Marcus shrugged. Thing was trying to eat my face. Figured I'd test physics a bit. Velix watched in horror as the tissue regenerator finished. The lung was functional. The bone fragments were fusing. Internal bleeding clotted. Concussion still serious, but stabilizing. Marcus was alive. Not just alive, thriving. Your species doesn't just survive, Velix muttered. You survive impossible odds, and then keep going. Marcus smiled. That's pretty much the human way.